The president of the Federated States of Micronesia says geopolitical competition in the Pacific is not as fraught as often believed. David Panuelo also insists Australia's recent nuclear submarine deal with the US and the UK is not a seismic shift in the international order. The president granted an interview to RNZ Pacific's Johnny Blades, who joins me now. Kia ora, Johnny. Now, OK, can you tell us more about his comments?
Yeah, kia ora, Max. Well, Panuelo was commenting on the reported building up of tensions between the US and China, also their competition for influence in the Pacific Islands. I mean, he's basically challenging the notion that armed conflict is inevitable between these two powers and believes all the external powers of the region, also including Japan and Australia and others, that they are just asserting their national interests, economic interests. You know, and regarding the recent nuclear submarine deal, the AUKUS Pact, Panuelo says there's nothing new about that alliance, and that the biggest news really is just that there's simply another acronym at large, while regional security is strengthened as Australia gets access to newer technology. But of course, that doesn't necessarily quell concerns about the interoperability of nuclear-powered subs.
The Federated States of Micronesia, it's quite a small country. I mean, does it have much influence in the region?
Well, just limited. It is a small country in terms of land mass, but in total area, its waters span something like 260,000 square kilometres. And Micronesia is placed in a key strategic region, really, just north of Papua New Guinea, east of the Philippines. So really quite close to the region where tensions are up, and proximity to, vital shipping lanes and big fisheries. And the other thing is the FSM has relations with both US and China, unlike most of the other independent Micronesian countries who recognize Taiwan. So it's in a position to talk to these governments, and Panuelo says Micronesia has total faith and confidence in all parties to keep the Pacific region safe.
Yeah, you mentioned its relationship with the US. I understand the president has recently held talks with US defense chiefs in Hawaii. Is that right?
That's right, and it hasn't gone unnoticed by the media. Panuelo says the talks were misconstrued by various media outlets into headlines that the Federated States of Micronesia is set to become a US military base. Instead, he says the outcome of the talks really were more about boosting US Coast Guard help for them to tackle illegal fishing in the region, which is a big problem and dents their economic livelihood and so forth. But Panuelo says all this talk of conflict just distracts from the biggest issue, climate change. And he thinks all these, powers, US, China, Japan, Australia and others need to make climate change a separate, non-political matter for cooperation. So on that front, he's really anticipating some big commitments need to be made by the international community in Glasgow in just over a week or so.
Kia ora, Johnny. That's RNZ Pacific's Johnny Blades.